Guess what we're talking about today, guys? Highly debated, very popular, plenty and plenty of forums and blogs and trolls all about this subject. That's knives and blades. Small ones, big ones, folding ones, two-handed ones, 1.5-handed, you could call it. Of course, this is in reference to prepping, survival, kind of bug out. What should I have if I need to ensure my security, my survival, my safety, and procurement of food and resources. Everyone's general favorite is big blades. Here I have the Tops Tahoma knife, the field knife. This is a great knife. It's made by Tops. You can see the finish on it. I forget what they call it, but you can see the different heat treating that they have towards the edge of the blade, and the spine being softer and harder towards the edge. I do forget what they called that, but that's the coloration. All Tops blades are 3/16 thick, I believe. My Carter scales. It's got these kind of funny little add-ons, for like a bow drill. It's got these divots. It's got like a pry bar here, or whatever you kind of want to call that. This thing for I don't know, notching bones and stuff. Whatever, that's cool. Kind of gimmicky, but also does not take away from the knife, in my opinion. Doesn't add too much onto the knife either. There's also a top blade here. You can get these without the top blade if you request. If you're doing batoning, you're going to dull the hell out of it. I mean, that really doesn't bother me, so it is what it is. For me, this blade, okay, you can see the handle is really designed for a real wrist flick, for a chop. It is a good chopper for a knife. I personally don't like chopping wood with knives. Let me also start by saying that there is no one-tool option when it comes to blades. Okay? Big knives, small knives, axes, swords, kukris, whatever you got, machetes. There's really no one-tool option. Here's my opinion on big blades. I have the Tahoma knife here by Tops. Really an excellent knife. We have a Rat 7. This one's in D2. I probably wouldn't get it in D2 if I was going to take this out with me. I just kind of like D2. It was kind of rare. I put a convex edge on it. It's just kind of my collector knife, but the Rat 7 I think you can get in 1095. And it is a great knife. I mean, just a great size and thickness and everything. It's got to be 3/16 as well. Very similar, a little smaller, not so much a chopper. Just kind of a big knife, nice for batoning and all that. I have a Martini here. This is the Ranger, like 740 or something. As you can see, I really don't beat it up too much. It's got a nice finish on. It's got a rat tail tang. I absolutely love this knife just for looks. It's sharp as hell. It's got that Scandi grind on it. I could really process. So what I don't do heavy processing. I have batoned with this. I probably wouldn't continue to do that. But these are really just examples of kind of big bladed knives. I don't know if I would call this the BK2. Obviously you can see I did a little my own touch-ups to it, nothing crazy. I guess you can call it a big knife just for the thickness, but really this is really a sweet spot blade length size. I do have a Falkneven S1. For me, that is perfect. I think for a lot of people who get out there and use their knives really for wood processing and around the camp, and for just taking care of tasks and getting tinder together and things like that, and for most general tasks, even batoning wood. I mean, you know, you're not batoning, you know, giant logs. You know, you don't need a huge knife. But this, you know, that 6 inch. I think this is 6 inch or 5 inch, whatever it is. Around 6 inches is really, it really is the sweet spot. You know, I hate to tell you, big blade guys, but a 6 inch knife is really the sweet spot. You know, this is a little thick. The thickness is cool. You know, it's nice. You know, when you're batoning and you split that wood real easy with that thickness. But weight wise, you know, I'm not so much a stickler for weight, but man, it is a hefty knife. Instead of using a big blade, guys, you really, let's just get real, okay? This is the small forest axe by Gransfors Brook. Made in Sweden. I'm sure you're familiar with this. You know, I also have the wilderness hatchet, I believe. Another really a great piece. Look, if you're processing wood and you're also semi concerned about weight and size, I mean, man, this is the way to go. I'm a big guy. You know, I could definitely handle a much larger axe than this. But if you gotta go, this is the way to go. You know, if you're on the move, rather, this is the way to go. Size and weight and capability. You know, you can take down a tree with this. You can split, no problem. You know, you could baton with these suckers, no problem. You know, just as good, you know, if not better than a knife. You know, there's no reason to baton with a knife when you have an axe. You're not taking a tree down with a knife. You know, not that you have to take super large trees down if you're in some kind of preparedness, survival, bug out situation. You know, probably no more than 4 to 6 inches in diameter. If pretty much just to build shelter and to get firewood, you're really not going to be taking anything bigger than that. And, excuse me, and this will do the job no problem. This will process the wood no problem. I also find that you know, this push down motion for me, really when you can get your hand even on the back of this, is really much easier on my wrist and my hand. I could really get a lot more leverage than when you have a big blade like this and you're pushing down, and it's kind of pushing your wrist back. It's really fighting you. You know, you're not getting all your strength out. You know, you could really get some good leverage and your body weight down on this blade, straight into the ground. You know, when you're either stripping bark off or even creating feather sticks and things like that. I really think it does so many of the same, you know, it'll do the same jobs as that big knife, just so much better and faster, and really with less energy and less frustration. It does come along with a little bit more danger. It is a shorter axe, so I don't think you have to worry. You know, you can really get like on your knees and process that way and not have to worry about glancing off, hitting your ankles, hitting your legs, things like that, which really is a big consideration when wielding an axe. You know, you do have to know what you're doing. You also get a little weight to, you know, whatever you got to do. It's a big hammer. There's plenty of uses for that. We could discuss the hatchet. The hatchet I'm not as fond of, but I do find that same principle, pushing down, this type of motion really works for me. Splitting wood just as good. Batoning with this. With that wedge, you know, the way these Gransfors are designed, it's not an extreme wedge there. I don't know what you call that. It's kind of in the middle, between like a felling axe and like a splitting axe. But you know, this will do the job just as good. I personally like this better because I could wield this no problem one-handed, just as good as this. You know, if you're, you know, I'm not huge. I'm 6'2", I'm 250. This 19 or 20 inch axe really does the job for me. Now that being said, has to be paired. Now I'm holding up this BK2. I personally wouldn't pair it with the BK2. Like I said, I have my Falkneven S1. I think they are just a perfect match. That knife, you know, it could process. You break the wood up into smaller bits, and you could really process it with the S1. You could do smaller tasks. You could do, you know, game processing. You know, all the rest that you really need to do with a small knife, a smaller knife. And God forbid you're just left with that one knife, it will still do all the jobs. Be it harder, you can still do them. I do have a tiny martini here. I forget what it's called. It was cheap, but man, this is like a scalpel, this thing. There is a place certainly for a third blade, a small blade. Now, be it something like this, which is fixed, the Buck 110. Now, you know, you could flick out your Spydercos and everything, and you know what, that's cool. Let's not get carried away on blade steels. I think this, you know, stainless steel is fine. You know, you could sharpen it up good. I mean, guys, if you're using your knife, I don't care what steel you got, you're going to have to sharpen it anyway. So you might as well just get something that's just kind of tried and true. That's my philosophy. Get something tried and true. Get something that you're not going to go crazy sharpening it, and it's not chipping on you where you have to reprofile it in the middle of wherever you are. I think the purpose of folding knife or just a smaller blade would really be for a very sharp edge, like scalpel style, maybe not medically, maybe medically for use, but just something that's extremely sharp for the special tasks that you really need something ultra sharp. I do have here a Benchmade Adamas. This is in D2. It's a Seabird design. It's, man, this thing is built like a tank. On YouTube, some Russian guy beating the hell out of this thing. It's pretty cool. This thing is really rugged. I've taken this myself at work, and I've hammered this with a hammer through metal. Just because I you know, it's what I had and whatever. I just wasn't giving a hoot at the time, but took it no problem. Not a problem. Not, you know, the tip didn't have to reprofile or anything like that on the tip. It is good to go, and I really have beat the hell out of this knife. I think it's just cool. I mean, it's a little heavy maybe to be carrying around, but just to throw it out there as a folding knife, man, this thing is a tank. The Benchmade Adamas. Okay, so that kind of wraps up what we talked about, what I want to talk about. It's not that I'm putting to rest the whole big blade versus little blade versus axe comparisons, but look, you know, you big blade guys out there, I understand that it is safer than an axe. I don't know how much safer than something like this. You know, like I said, if you're working from your knees, I mean, if you're chopping, you know, swinging across your chest, it's really not that dangerous. You know, it's just when you're swinging down, splitting wood, and if you're working on your knees and you know what you're doing, it's just as safe. You know, instead of batoning something like this through wood, you know, to me that takes a lot of effort. And then, you know, and then if this is your one tool option, you know, like I said, carving down, you know, with your wrist, it's just, for me, it's just a no-go. I mean, these are good defensive knives in my opinion. You know, really for fighting, you know, stabbing, fighting, slashing. You know, you got your reach. You know, maybe butchering. These would be good to go. But really, you know, when we talk about blades, we talk about bushcraft, we talk about wood processing, we talk about a one-tool option, which there is no such thing. I do think there's a 2 or 3 tool option when it comes to blades. I did leave out the machete. Now, guys, this machete, now this one I don't really have tuned up too good. This is an Ontario machete. I have it wrapped with like a tennis racket wrap, which honestly is sweet. I learned that from Prepared Mind 101, and it is sweet, so keep that in mind. Wilson racket wrap, or whatever it's called. Now, guys, a machete will do an excellent job. You can chop down a tree with a machete. It is a great tool. You can't split wood really with a machete, but you can chop down trees. It is very threatening and menacing as a weapon. You know, you can get through thick brush with this. You know, where I am, there's not so much of that. You're not going to do a lot of bushwhacking where I am, but that is what it was designed for. So just something to keep in mind. It is a very useful tool. You can chop down trees with pretty much no problem with a machete. And defense-wise, man, blades, it's really nothing scarier than a machete, I'll tell you. That's really where it's at, folks. You know, I hate to lay it down for you, and disappoint anybody out there who's got some giant, you know, the hungless knife, cool knife, let me tell you, and kukris I have. You know, dude, come on, just get an axe. Stop messing around. And I do have theories on large axes, like felling axes or fireman's axes, and especially for the urban prepper, and why that would be a good idea for you. Let's keep that in mind. Stop worrying about knife steel. Stop worrying about bigger is better. Get you something that you can use. If you're telling me a giant knife works better than an axe, I don't think that you've gone out and used it. Dr. Prepper out.